started with our first news. On a recent episode of the Joe Rogan Experience featuring Michael "Venom" Page, Joe Rogan dove deep into the UFC 320 card, with particular focus on the highly anticipated co-main event, Merab Dvalishvili vs. Corey Sandhagen. As Rogan broke down the matchup, he highlighted the sheer uniqueness of Merab's training approach, the relentless pace that has defined his career, and the stylistic puzzle presented by Corey Sandhagen. According to Rogan, Merab is unlike any other elite athlete when it comes to preparation. While most fighters follow strict warm-up routines, stretching regimens, and carefully managed recovery systems, Merab does the opposite. He has admitted in interviews, including one with Demetrius "Mighty Mouse" Johnson, that he simply walks into the gym and immediately starts training at full throttle. No warm-ups, no stretching, no sauna, no ice baths. On top of that, Merab keeps an unorthodox sleep schedule, often staying awake until 2 a.m. before going to bed. Despite this chaotic routine, the results speak for themselves. Merab possesses what Rogan described as arguably the greatest cardio in UFC history. His engine never runs out, and his ability to push an unforgiving pace has allowed him to break nearly every major wrestling record in the promotion. Fight after fight, he has outworked, outpaced, and overwhelmed his opponents, grinding them down until they have nothing left. Rogan recalled moments in Merab's career where his toughness was undeniable, such as the Marlon Moraes fight, where Merab looked nearly finished in the first round yet rallied back to score a dominant stoppage win. Rogan emphasized that there is zero quit in Merab. Even when he is on the brink of defeat, his resilience, heart, and conditioning allow him to push forward until he turns the tide. At the same time, Rogan was quick to give respect to Corey Sandhagen. He referred to Sandhagen as one of the best point fighters in MMA today, slick, technical, and extremely difficult to hit cleanly. Sandhagen's style revolves around movement, precision, and volume striking, making him one of the most dangerous and crafty bantamweights on the roster. Rogan acknowledged that Sandhagen is highly skilled, cerebral in his approach, and can make even the best fighters look lost inside the octagon. However, Rogan stressed that this fight isn't just about striking technique or flashy combinations. This is MMA, he said, and when you factor in Merab's relentless pace and insane wrestling, it becomes a completely different kind of fight. In Rogan's view, while Sandhagen may have the edge in striking, Merab's style is built for breaking opponents both mentally and physically. His suffocating grappling, constant pressure, and tireless engine create a unique test that very few fighters in the world can withstand for 5 full rounds. Perhaps the most frightening part, Rogan noted, is that Merab is still improving. Despite already being at the top of the bantamweight division, his skills, confidence, and fight IQ continue to evolve. You look at him now and think he's already one of the best in the world, Rogan said, but he's not done yet. He's still getting better. He's still a project. This clash between Merab Dvalishvili and Corey Sandhagen at UFC 320 represents more than just a fight. It's a stylistic battle between two of the division's most intriguing athletes. On one side, the relentless, never-ending motor of Merab, a fighter with cardio that seems superhuman. On the other, the technical wizardry of Sandhagen, a striker who can frustrate and outpoint anyone if given the chance. As Rogan concluded, fans are in for a treat. The co-main event is set to be a showcase of heart, skill, and unrelenting willpower. Whether Merab's pace proves too much, or Sandhagen's technical mastery can hold strong, UFC 320's co-main is guaranteed fireworks. Before moving on to the next news, we have a quick request for you. We're always working to improve our content and truly value your support. If you could take a moment to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon, it would mean a lot to us. That way, you'll never miss an update. Move on to another news. On a recent episode of the Joe Rogan Experience, Joe Rogan shifted his focus to the UFC 320 main event, the highly anticipated rematch between Alex Pereira and Magomed Ankalaev. To the surprise of many fans, Rogan leaned toward Pereira this time, offering detailed reasoning behind his prediction and breaking down the factors that may drastically change the fight compared to their first encounter. Rogan began by revisiting the initial fight between the two light heavyweight contenders. According to him, Pereira's greatest weapon, his devastating left hook, was effectively neutralized, not because Ankalaev shut it down, but because Pereira was compromised. Reports suggested that Pereira injured his left hand in training camp leading up to the bout, which limited his ability to throw his most lethal strike. On top of that, Rogan pointed out that Pereira was also dealing with a bout of COVID-19 during camp. That illness, he argued, likely affected his conditioning, energy levels, and overall sharpness on fight night. Looking back at the footage, Rogan noted how Pereira didn't look like his usual self. He was hesitant, lacked the confidence that typically defines his striking, and never found the rhythm that makes him so dangerous. Even though he successfully stuffed Ankalaev's takedown attempts, the looming threat of wrestling made him reluctant to open up fully with his striking combinations. Rogan stressed that Pereira's cardio seemed diminished, forcing him to conserve energy rather than apply his usual pressure. Despite these challenges, Rogan observed that in the later rounds of the fight, particularly the fifth, Pereira began showing flashes of his true ability. His calf kicks started landing more frequently, and his offense began to flow, though it came too late to change the outcome. This, Rogan argued, was a clear sign that an uninjured, fully conditioned Pereira could look drastically different in the rematch. What makes this fight especially compelling, Rogan emphasized, is Pereira's trademark left hook. He described it as the doom punch, the strike that has defined much of Pereira's highlight reel. Even when glancing, that left hook carries fight-ending power. Rogan referenced moments like the knockout of Yuri Prochazka and the grazing left hook that stunned Jamahal Hill as proof of how dangerous Pereira remains at all times. That left hook is massive, Rogan said. Even when it just grazes, it does damage. In Rogan's view, a healthy Pereira, with a fully functioning left hand and improved. Move on to another news. On a recent episode of the Joe Rogan Experience, Joe Rogan took a deep dive into one of the most fascinating hypothetical matchups in MMA today, Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall, with Jones announcing his long-awaited comeback and expressing interest in competing on the historic White House card. The conversation around a possible showdown with the interim heavyweight champion has resurfaced in a big way. Rogan, however, didn't shy away from pointing out where he sees major problems for Jones in this matchup. According to Rogan, Jon Jones is undoubtedly one of the greatest fighters in UFC history. His resume speaks for itself: multiple title defenses, dominance at light heavyweight, and now a heavyweight title under his belt. But despite that, Rogan highlighted a weakness in Jones's game that doesn't get enough attention: speed and explosiveness. While Jones has always excelled with fight IQ, creativity, and adaptability, Rogan argued that he's never been the fastest fighter in the cage. Against someone like Tom Aspinall, that could spell serious trouble. Rogan praised Aspinall as a heavyweight unlike any other. Standing 6 feet 5 inches and carrying a natural 250-pound frame, Aspinall doesn't just rely on his size and power. Instead, his defining characteristic is speed. Rogan emphasized how rare it is to see a heavyweight move with such agility, explosiveness, and fluidity. Aspinall's speed is terrifying, Rogan said, explaining that he combines quick footwork, sharp boxing, and natural athleticism in ways most heavyweights can't match. That blend of size and speed, Rogan suggested, creates a nightmare scenario for Jon Jones. Jones, while technically brilliant, has often relied on his reach, creativity, and unorthodox striking rather than raw athletic speed. At light heavyweight, his length and skill set allowed him to dominate slower opponents. But at heavyweight, especially against someone like Aspinall, the dynamic changes drastically. Jones isn't used to fighting a guy who's both that big and that fast, Rogan noted. Rogan also pointed out that taking Aspinall down wouldn't be easy. Unlike many heavyweights who can be neutralized on the ground, Aspinall is well-rounded with excellent grappling and submission skills. He has shown time and again that he can finish fights anywhere, standing or on the mat. His combination of speed, size, and technical skill, Rogan argued, could overwhelm Jones, who has typically competed against smaller, slower athletes at 205 pounds. Another factor Rogan discussed is the psychology of the matchup. Jones has always thrived in high-pressure environments, but Aspinall represents a different kind of challenge, a younger, fresher, and more explosive opponent who is naturally built for heavyweight. This, Rogan said, makes the fight not just a physical test, but a mental one for Jones. Adding to the intrigue is the UFC's upcoming White House event, which has the entire MMA community buzzing. Jones has been vocal about wanting a spot on that card, but according to Rogan, UFC President Dana White isn't on board with Jones versus Aspinall just yet. White appears hesitant to book the matchup now, perhaps saving it for later, when the stakes could be even higher. Still, Rogan emphasized that this is MMA, and things change fast. So, the question remains, could Tom Aspinall solve the puzzle of Jon Jones? Rogan believes it's one of the most compelling what-if scenarios in the sport, with Jones's legendary fight IQ and championship experience going up against Aspinall's speed, size, and explosiveness. The bout could redefine the heavyweight division. For now, it's still speculation, but if the UFC decides to book Jones versus Aspinall at the White House event, it would instantly become one of the most anticipated anticipated fights in MMA history. Fans are left wondering, would Jones's brilliance be enough, or would Aspinall's speed and power finally expose a weakness in the fighter many call the GOAT? Move on to another news. Arthur Jones, the former NFL defensive lineman who won a Super Bowl with the Baltimore Ravens, has tragically passed away at the age of 39. His death occurred at his home in Syracuse, New York, where emergency services arrived on Friday morning after his pacemaker alerted his doctor. Despite the rapid response, Jones, who had a known heart condition, had already passed before medical help could be administered. Jones was selected in the 5th round of the 2010 NFL Draft by the Ravens, where he quickly established himself as a reliable presence on the defensive line. He spent 4 seasons in Baltimore, highlighted by his performance in Super Bowl 47, when the Ravens defeated the San Francisco 49ers. In that game, Jones delivered one of his career's defining moments, sacking quarterback Colin Kaepernick and recovering a fumble just before the infamous power outage inside the New Orleans Superdome. His contributions were vital in cementing the Ravens' championship run. Following his time in Baltimore, Jones played for the Indianapolis Colts and later the Washington Commanders. By the time he retired in 2017, he had built a career defined by toughness, resilience, and consistency. His peak years came between 2012 and 2013, when he recorded 8.5 of his 10 total career sacks. Jones's impact, however, extended far beyond the football field. Known for his infectious smile, boundless energy, and uplifting personality, he was beloved by teammates, coaches, and fans alike. Baltimore Ravens general manager Eric DeCosta shared heartfelt words following the news of Jones's passing, stating, "Arthur's presence was a gift to everyone he encountered. His big, bright smile, infectious energy, and eternal positivity created a presence that continuously uplifted others. He was kind, courteous, and enthusiastic, always displaying a love for family, teammates, and friends. We send our deepest condolences to the Jones family and all who loved Arthur." A native of Rochester, New York, Jones had deep ties to his home state. Before his NFL career, he starred at Syracuse University, where he left a lasting legacy. He recorded 38.5 tackles for loss, a school record for an interior defensive lineman, and was twice named a first-team All-Big East selection. Syracuse athletic director John Wildhack remembered Jones fondly, saying, "Arthur Jones was a tremendous player and even better person. We were fortunate that Arthur continued to support our football program after his playing career. He impacted many of our student athletes, always with a smile and uplifting message." Arthur's success was part of a remarkable family legacy in professional sports. His younger brothers include Jon Jones, widely regarded as one of the greatest fighters in UFC history, and Chandler Jones, a Super Bowl champion with the New England Patriots. Together, the Jones brothers became one of the most accomplished athletic families of their generation, each achieving success at the highest levels of their respective sports. Arthur Jones will be remembered as much for his kindness and positivity as for his accomplishments on the field. From his college dominance to his Super Bowl glory, he left an indelible mark on the sport and on the lives of those who knew him. At just 39, his passing is a sobering reminder of life's fragility, but his legacy, rooted in resilience, joy, and love for the game, will continue to live on. Move on to another news. Ahead of his high-stakes clash with Khalil Rountree, former UFC light heavyweight champion Yuri Prochazka revealed an unexpected encounter at the UFC Performance Institute in Las Vegas. Speaking in a recent interview, Prochazka described how the run-in unfolded and how it clashed with the ongoing online trash talk leading up to their fight. According to Prochazka, the meeting happened during one of his first training days in Las Vegas as part of his fight camp. After a session with his team, he noticed Rountree walking past him on his way out of the gym. To his surprise, Rountree greeted him casually, saying hello in what seemed like a friendly and respectful manner. For most fighters, this might have been a simple, ordinary exchange, but Prochazka admitted that it struck him as insincere. The reason for his hesitation was clear. In the weeks leading up to their fight, Rountree had been vocal on social media, throwing out comments that Prochazka considered disrespectful. The online jabs had created tension, so when Rountree extended a normal greeting in person, Prochazka found himself questioning the sincerity of the gesture. "I just looked at him," Prochazka said, recalling his reaction, "because after everything he wrote online, I didn't believe it. I wanted to see him face to face, to see his real intentions." What Prochazka realized in that moment, however, was that social media bravado and in-person reality can often be two very different things. He described Rountree's approach as surprisingly normal and even polite, which contrasted sharply with the tone of his online comments. "He just said hello like a normal guy," Prochazka admitted. "Then I understood that all the things he wrote on the internet didn't matter in that moment." This run-in has added another layer of intrigue to their upcoming matchup, which is already seen as a pivotal fight for the light heavyweight division. Both men are ranked contenders with significant momentum. The winner of Prochazka vs. Roundtree could find themselves in direct contention for a title shot, though the exact path forward depends heavily on the outcome of the upcoming championship fight between Alex Pereira and Magomed Ankalaev. If Pereira defeats Ankalaev, a trilogy bout between the two might dominate the division's immediate future, potentially delaying title opportunities for Prochazka, Roundtree, or rising star Carlos Ulberg. Ulberg, with his string of impressive performances, is considered fresh blood in the division and could leapfrog into contention depending on how the landscape shifts. Prochazka's comments highlight the psychological battle behind the physical one. Fighters often use mind games, trash talk, and mental warfare to gain an edge before stepping into the octagon. But as Prochazka noted, reality often feels different when two fighters stand face to face, stripped of the internet bravado. As UFC 320 approaches, fans are eagerly debating how this personal tension will translate inside the cage. Will Roundtree's power and aggression overwhelm Prochazka, or will the former champion's unorthodox striking and relentless pace carry him back into the title picture? With so many moving pieces in the light heavyweight division, this fight could prove to be a defining moment. For Prochazka, the lesson from that encounter at the Pi was simple: let the fight speak louder than the talk. And for fans, it only adds to the anticipation of what promises to be one of the most electrifying matchups of the year. Move on to another news. The sporting world is mourning the tragic loss of Arthur Jones, former NFL defensive lineman and Super Bowl champion, who passed away at just 39 years old. News of his death was confirmed by the Baltimore Ravens, the team where Jones spent the first 4 years of his career and played a pivotal role in their Super Bowl 47 victory over the San Francisco 49ers. Jones was remembered not only for his on-field talent but also for the positivity and energy he carried throughout his life. Ravens general manager Eric DeCosta reflected on his impact in an emotional statement. His big, bright smile, infectious energy and eternal positivity created a presence that continuously uplifted others. Arthur was kind, courteous, and enthusiastic, always displaying a love for family, teammates, and friends. We send our deepest condolences to the Jones family and all who loved Arthur. Arthur was part of one of sport's most famous families. He was the older brother of UFC legend Jon Jones, the youngest champion in the promotion's history, and Chandler Jones, a standout NFL star who won a Super Bowl with the New England Patriots. The Jones family legacy stretches across two of America's biggest sports, making Arthur's passing all the more significant to fans across both the NFL and UFC communities. The MMA world, in particular, has shown an outpouring of support. Conor McGregor, the UFC's first simultaneous two-division champion, took to social media to share his condolences. Very sad to hear this news. Arthur was a great man, a friendly giant. Godspeed Arthur Jones. UFC heavyweight champion Tom Aspinall also responded, writing, thoughts and prayers to the Jones family, under an Instagram post from the UFC honoring Arthur's memory. Dana White, CEO of the UFC, added his own simple yet heartfelt tribute, replying with praying hands emojis on the same post, signaling the respect Arthur commanded even outside the NFL. During his NFL career, Arthur Jones earned recognition as a key piece of Baltimore's defensive line. Drafted in the 5th round of the 2010 NFL Draft, he made an immediate impact with the Ravens. His finest moment came during Super Bowl 47 in 2013, where he sacked quarterback Colin Kaepernick and recovered a fumble in the Ravens' win. That performance solidified his role as a vital contributor to the team's championship run. Jones later played for the Indianapolis Colts and the Washington Commanders before announcing his retirement in 2017. He recorded 10 career sacks, with 8.5 coming during a dominant 2-year stretch from 2012 to 2013. Before entering the NFL, he had an outstanding college career at Syracuse, where he set school records for tackles for loss by an interior defensive lineman and earned first-team All-Big East honors. For teammates, friends, and fans, Arthur Jones will be remembered for far more than his athletic achievements. He carried himself with warmth, humility, and a strong sense of family, leaving a lasting impact on every locker room he entered. The tributes pouring in from both the NFL and UFC reflect the magnitude of his loss. To many, Arthur wasn't just a player or the brother of two sporting icons. He was a man whose smile and spirit left an impression on everyone who met him. As the Ravens, the Jones family, and the broader sports community he continue to grieve, one thing is clear: Arthur Jones's legacy will live on through the memories he created, the lives he touched, and the love he gave to his family and fans.